It's always been in my nature to relate rather than divide. And I think that's why I've spent so much of my life traveling. I'm captivated by connections. I love to learn and grow and gain perspectives from other people and places.
Oh my God!
So when the world went into lockdown, and I found myself tucked away at home on the island of Kauai, it was only natural that I started finding new kinds of connections in my own backyard. I once read that if you listen closely, each plant has something to teach. But if my garden's taught me anything so far, it's that I'm gonna need a human translator before I kill all my plants. So I met up with my good friend Peleke, who's a farmer and a cultivator of Kanaka Maoli wisdom and culture. My hope was to learn a lesson from kalo. Also known as taro, this plant can be eaten many different ways. But more often than not, the corm is cooked, smashed, and turned into poi. Because of the food and nutrients provided by this plant, Kanaka were able to thrive as a society for thousands of years.
So you gotta slide a little bit more.
So this is the huli, and this is what you replant. This is the kalo.
Kalo. And you got the leaf.
Yeah.
You can eat that. And you got the stem, the haha.
And you eat that too. So you can eat the whole plant. The only thing you could eat this too, but you just use it to replant.
Peleke proceeded to explain the abundant nature of kalo, and sang its praises for allowing his ancestors to prosper on these islands. Because for every huli planted in the ground, there are 6 to 8 new plants that are born, multiplying the crop again and again with each harvest. This is why the Kanaka call this plant ha'aloa, which means never-ending breath. The importance of ha'aloa is so great that it's tied into their very story of creation. It said that Wakea, Father Sky, had a child with Ho'ohoku Kalani of the stars, but the child was stillborn. So she buried her child in the earth and wept over him day and night until the first kalo pushed up through the ground. She soon had a second child, a healthy, happy baby boy named Ha'aloa. He was the first human to ever walk the earth, and his life was nourished by his older brother, Kalo, making him inseparable from the land. For the Kanaka whose ancestors have cared for this land, this ocean, and for their older brother, passing kalo from generation to generation, this story must carry more meaning than I could ever hope to understand. But one lesson that is very clear to me is that we humans share a bond with the earth. And it's a little ironic that in this era of connection, of global communication, that we're losing the first connection we ever made. The story of Ha'aloa reminds us of a mother's tears, an older brother's watchful eye, and that the earth loves us. It's strange to say, but she does. She tells me every day in the form of lilikoi vines and tomato plants. And I can learn to say it right back. In the pulling of weeds, the sowing of seeds, and the planting of kalo.